Today, I'll show you how to build your own computer. Let's get started. For this build, we will be using the following components: an ASUS motherboard, an NVIDIA graphic card, an AMD processor, Patriot RAM, an NVMe drive, and a power supply unit. First, let's unpack the PCU. Inside the box we find the power supply itself, a power cord, and various cables for the motherboard, PCIe devices, CPU, SATA drivers, and other components that should be everything we need. Next, we'll need the case which serves as the foundation for assembling all the PC components. Remove the side panels and ensure there's nothing inside the case that could obstruct the build process. Install the PCU into the designated slot in the case. Among the cables provided with case, you will find a bag containing zip ties and screws. Ensure the mounting holes on the case align with the screw holes on the PSU. Each side requires 4 screws to secure the PSU firmly. Let's unpack the motherboard next. Inside the box you'll find an assembly guide. SATA cables for hard drives, rubber mounts for NVMe drives, and the rear I/O panel. To prevent scratches, avoid placing the motherboard directly on abrasive surfaces. Use the anti-static bag or the box it came in. Now, let's unpack the processor. The box contains the processor itself. An installation guide, and cooling fan with a pre-applied thermal paste, saving us an extra step. Pay close attention to the alignment markers, arrows, that indicate the correct orientation for installing the processor. On the motherboard, press down on the socket lever and push it aside to release the rotation mechanism. Remove the protective plastic cover from the socket. Carefully align the arrows on the processor and socket. Then gently place the processor into the socket. Once you are sure it's seated correctly, close the retention mechanism by securing the lever. Now, We'll install the cooling system. Make sure there's nothing in the way. On this motherboard, there are hooks for large cooling systems, but in our case, they are unnecessary, so I'll remove them for feed the included fan. With the area cleared, we are proceed. Align the cooler's mounting brackets with the rectangular mounts on the motherboard. Screws should be tightened in a crisscross pattern to evenly distribute pressure on the cooler heat dissipating surface. You may hear the springs creaking during installation. This is normal. Tighten the screws until the cooler is secure, but don't over-tighten. Now connect the cooler fan to the CPU fan heater on the motherboard. Let's unpack the RAM. We'll be installing two 16GB DDR5 sticks. Each stick has notches unique to the DDR5 standard. Ensuring they can be installed incorrectly, even by accident. For storage, we'll use 1TB WD NVMe drive. Its standard offers blazing fast read and write speeds compared to other types of drives. It fits into a special slot on the motherboard and doesn't require additional power. We'll secure it with a rubber stopper included with the motherboard. Next, we'll install the motherboard into the case. It should fit smoothly without obstructions. Align the screw holes on the board with those in the case and secure it with screws. Here's a pro tip. When screwing into pre-threaded holes, start by turning the screw counterclockwise slightly, as if unscrewing. This helps avoid damaging the threads. Once the motherboard is securely mounted, we can start connecting cables. From the rear of the case, route the power supply and front panel cables for the power and reset buttons, as well as USB and audio ports to their respective connections. Let's connect the main power cable to the motherboard. This Y24-pin connector is called the ATX24 pin. Next, Connect the 8-pin ATX cable to power the processor. The blue connector is for the front panel USB ports. Each connector has dedicated port on the motherboard. The HD audio connector is for the headphone and microphone jacks on the front panel. Note the pin layout. It has blocked pin to ensure it only fits the correct port. The F panel connector handles the power and reset buttons. It's clearly labeled on the motherboard. Don't forget to connect the case exhaust fan to the sys fan header, even if the fan uses a 3-pin connector and the motherboard has a 4-pin header. They're compatible and keyed to prevent incorrect installation. Finally, let's install our last component, the NVIDIA RTX 4060 graphics card. Opening the box, we find the card itself and its manual. Remove the plastic cover protecting the PCIe connector. Before installing the graphics card, remove two rectangular covers on the back of the case. One is for display ports and the other is for ventilation. Insert the card into the PCIe slot. Secure it with a screw and connect the PCIe power cable from the power supply, as this card requires additional power. Now connect your peripherals. Plug the monitor display port cable into the graphic card. Connect the Ethernet cable, speakers, microphone, mouse, and keyboard. For testing, connecting just the monitor will suffice. Power on the PC for the first time. If the lights turn on, fans spin, and you see an image on the screen, everything is connected correctly. Turn off the PC, unplug it, and disconnect the peripherals. Tidy up the inside of the case by securing loose and excess cables using zip ties. Close the side panels and tighten the screws. And that's it. The assembly of the computer is complete.